What's up, Hex fam? How's everybody doing? I got a little bit of a new setup situation going on here. Scooched it back a bit because I was watching RH's stream and I commented on the stream and I was like, "How do you read all the I said, how do you just pick random chats and answer them?" And he said, "No, I read every one." And I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with this guy?" And then I said, "Nope, I'm not going to do that whole thing where I say other people are smarter than me. I'm going to figure out how to do it myself." Because I believe if he can read every single chat, GRC can read every single chat. But obviously, it's something you do over thousands of hours. So I switched the setup a little bit. I got another monitor. I'm really excited. We have a special guest. His name is Bran Hammer. And he's been hammering down love to everyone in this community. He's been here since the beginning. He's in his 20s. He retired off Hex. I don't really know if he's doing any specific work endeavors, but he's in the Hex community just like balls deep all day long doing his thing. He is just one of the biggest supporters of Hex. Everyone in the community thinks of him as like someone who's really special to them because that's kind of the emotional vibe he gives you when he's talking to you. He's like engaged with you. He's not talking to anyone else. He's thinking, and he's very open. And like the one thing that I was most surprised about Bran was that he would call people out and talk shit. And I was like, oh, cool. I was like, this guy's cool. Like because it's one thing being nice and Bran knows this. Then there's another thing not being able to tell someone he's a shit talker when he's standing in front of you. And Bran kind of calls it how it is. And I've always loved that. Crypto in the morning. We got Sam Stolt. He's in makeup. Hold on. Yep, he's still in makeup. He's coming around the corner. Guys, it's your boy, GRC. We got Sam Stolt. We got Bran Hammer in the house. We're going to have a crazy show. Don't forget, tomorrow's the fitness challenge, and we're going absolutely nuclear. No, it's not. We're going to do the sign up for the fitness challenge, guys. Here's a little bit of a ripper song. Let's go. Boom.
Young folks, you tripping on them motherfucker.
Rich your heart. Rich your heart.
Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Point one every day we mark. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Checking my MetaMask moving. Look at the Hex, he is mooning. Looking at wives they be choosing. Peter is why they be losing. Pull chains out, now get me a check. He's gas up and it got me a mess. Remember the times he died, collect. Hex, I been eating, I'm dying in the best. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this post, I ain't letting go. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this post, I ain't letting go. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Richard Hart. Richard Hart. Richard Hart. Richard Hart.
What's going on, boys?
How you guys doing? Good morning. Nice to meet you, Brad. I've seen you in the comments many times. It's the first time in person. I appreciate it. How you doing?
Hell yeah. No, doing great. It's really cool to see you guys doing daily streams. I mean, so I think it's actually 572 because I messed up that day or that number the other day on Hexologist stream. But he streamed for 572 days in a row, Hexo. And anyway, so to see you, Jim Rat and you guys kind of doing the daily streams, I think is really cool and commendable. And yeah, a lot of smart people in the community.
A spot open, Sam, for someone who there's a lot of people that give info, right? Good info all around, lots of good people. But there was a spot for someone who had enough free time and enough, flexibility within their schedule, which was me. I was the guy. I just had nothing to do, Bran. I just wanted to do something. Like I didn't have money. I didn't have this. I didn't have that. I was like, I just want every day. I want to be engaged. I have to make sure it's every day so I can get ahead. that's the way I thought. It was never like, oh, this is a strategy. I was like, this seems like the best way to get ahead to me. Going every day. Guys, Hex Deck 16. I love this guy every single day that goes by. I swear all his comments and everything are funny as hell. Thank you so much for the $33 super chat in honor of BallietBran, just because he sent probably 700 grand to super chats over the internet over the last 2 years. This guy is literally spreads the love like no one else. He's true. You can tell he's truly grateful for the position that we're all in, right? Like, you know, it's not just him or whatever the size of this, that, but it's like the whole thing, right? It's like, it's going to keep coming, right, Brand? Like this whole, if we keep doing the right thing, it's just going to keep working out. So why don't we just double down on doing the right thing, right?
Yeah, I was actually talking. So I hung out with a handful of Hexicans last night, 4 other Hexicans in my area. And that's what we were talking about is for, you know, someone asked me on my stream one time, like, you know, hey, what can the more anonymous Hexicans do to support some of the streamers? And, you know, the thing that you can do is support them, you know, like whether it's via comments or, you know, donations are cool too. But yeah, I'm a big fan of doing that and, you know, firm believer in paying it forward and kind of encouraging people. I know when I first started, or probably a lot of the earlier streamers, yeah, there was maybe a couple people watching it at once and things like that. So it's awesome to kind of get like a lift up from someone that has been there before.
And the support, yeah, no, 100%.
Sam, we got to clear some stuff up with you from Motley. Motley's got a question or a comment. In your video, you were saying there will be 4 hex. And I remember we were talking about this, the wrapped hex on both sides. And he says wrapping the hex does bridge the value over to a new layer 1, but it's not defined as a new coin, technically.
Correct. So what do you?
Oh, I see. I didn't even know that, to be honest.
Semantics. It's semantics, right? So how do you want to define something? If you want to use a different definition, right, then there's only 2, right? If you think that the derivative value of something, right, by wrapping something over and you define that differently, right? Like that's what a traditional definition of a derivative is, right? Then you could say 4. Like it's just semantics of how you actually want to define something. There's hex on ETH and there's hex on Pulse. Because there's a bridge and you can wrap both of them, then it looks like there's 4. And those will be able to swap back and forth between them. So completely depends on how you actually want to define that. But I'm open to hear everybody else's point of view on that.
For sure. And Sam, it's fair to say that in crypto, like everything has 3 fucking words for it nowadays. Like between fork, copy, snapshot, it's like, I'm not saying that none of these words have specific definitions. I'm saying it gets lost in translation between the masses, right? So like, it's not what you're saying is just like, basically, I haven't heard these words 1,500 times over and over to like specify which was which, but there's value here, right?
Because if you look at the 4, right? So there's 4. You've got 2 wrapped versions and then the 2 original versions, or like the original version and then a copy of the original versions, which is you can think of as a derivative in a sense by itself, right? Well, if you look at each side of those, from my understanding of the wrap of it, right, you're going to be putting in, say, $10 worth of something over here. Then on the other side of that, that's going to hold for about $10 because if it doesn't, say if it trades for $8, then you can go buy $8 and trade it in for $10, right? And there's an arb there. You have to consider the like cost of actually doing the transaction. Right, so then if you look at that, then you have 4 different ways to potentially trade things around, like ETH on the ETH side and then on the Pulse side to trade things around to arb that. And there's going to be situations where you have somebody who, say, bridges over ETH through the hex, right? And then that wrapped, they're going to do a transaction with, which is going to sell a bunch of them. And then there's going to be a discrepancy in that price, which is going to create opportunities for people who are paying attention to that kind of stuff to just basically make free money doing those kinds of things. So that was the essence of what I was talking about in the video. I appreciate the info.
I mean, there's the interactions between whenever anyone messaged me about Sam's videos, I'm like, yeah, everyone's freaking, you know, I like to see everyone kind of twisting and turning between each other, right? Like it's fun. It's way more fun. And then
that's why Brand's here today.
Say something, right? Like Sam's not saying like, fuck you, bro. BTC's the best. Go to fucking hell. It's just like or whatever. He's just saying like his point. Someone else brings the point. He gets clarity both sides, and then he says his point again. And
Everybody
there
learns.
is a lot of lost in translation verbiage in crypto. Like it's like there's a lot of words that go by, and like I was the one calling out the algorithmic stablecoin thing. I was like, hold on, everyone's saying this algorithmic stablecoin thing is just like good to go. I'm like, what the fuck is this thing? Like, what is people? And people are like, oh, dude, it's algorithmic stablecoins lit. Then you look into algorithmic stablecoins and you realize they don't do that well. And it's like, oh, okay, so that's lost in translation, in my opinion.
Internet suggestion: mesh network from Verizon, 1 gig speed.
Can we get a little one armor?
Yeah, I was just talking to the one guy.
Dude,
gotta work on, I'm working on the, I like what you guys are doing with the the weight loss stuff and just the health and physical, and even trying to not necessarily push Richard, but kind of just calling a spade for a spade, I've definitely got some work to do, and so I'm going to be joining you guys with your the challenge tomorrow, and it's exciting, man. It's I was listening to a lot of the SJ Reed's Sci-Fi book, and one of the things that Richard says in his book is that like it's much easier to like let yourself down per se than it is to let someone else down, or like a group or a team or like a camaraderie, right, of people that you kind of committed to, or that you're kind of like in a similar goal with. So yeah, I think it's really cool what you guys are doing, and yeah, dude, as Hexander said, May challenge, so it begins. I mean, and it's more so just for yourself. I mean, right? Like obviously you want everyone else to do well too, but
we want to show people, right? Like we don't want anyone to be a bodybuilder. Like it's just unrealistic at some point. Anyone can do it, but it's like, it's time suck, right? Like it's a lot of your day, it's a lot of your life. Like people like to party and go to restaurants and do all sorts. I don't like to do any of that shit, to be honest. Like, but that's what most people like to do. Anyway, we're showing people that it's possible to remain fit your entire life easily. I never said remain super fit. I never said have 6-pack, and none of that shit is what I'm talking about. I'm really not. Anyone can get that shit if that's what they want to determine their whole life they want to do. But I want people to know that being healthy is so freaking easy, dude. It's so easy.
Yeah.
Everyone on my commenting on that French toast, and whether you like the refined sugars and shit, I don't give a fuck. I'm 28 years old. I'm shredded year round. I'm gonna eat the shit that I learned that I like to eat until it hurts my stomach, and then I'll switch it up. But so the French toast I had, most people were guessing 1,300, 1,400 calories on that, Sam. I did the measurements on that just so I could be right. It was under 650 calories.
Nice, dude.
Show, just so we have what I'm saying. This is the kind of stuff I like to bring. I like to show people like really voluminous meals that they can eat that I think are just amazing, that really fill me up. I did not eat, and that was 600 calories. I didn't eat that was the last meal I had. And it was 50 grams of protein. It was amazing.
Can I, Bran, can you give me a couple, because I don't have any context for you or your history or your story at all, being that, it's been 60 days since I got into crypto. So can you, and I'm sure that there's other people in here who also haven't heard your full story. Can you, like, not necessarily the full story, but could like a 2-minute or 3-minute like synopsis of your story and your journey through this? I'm curious for myself.
Yeah, of course. So like similar to what Tendies had said, right, in the clip that I had made of him, which I definitely agree with a lot. But same thing as a kid, it's like, ambition and wanting to be successful and wanting to be wealthy and good, and obviously whatever you're doing. And when I was working at CenturyLink, when I was maybe, how old was I? I mean, probably, 20 years, 19 years old, something like that. The couple people that I was working with at the time, they were into investing. And so they'd have like the stock channel on. And so the channel had Bitcoin every now and then too, like a different crypto segment. And so anyways, had heard about crypto before, but never really took the time to like look into it. So long story short, I'm a follower of Richard Hart, right? Been following him since actually over 5 years now. So since March 15th, 2017. And I'd found him because he was what's he call himself? The premier Bitcoin maximalist at the time. And so I was following him. I really liked his
so Richard Hart, just for everyone in the comments, I mean, everyone in the chat, we're going to transition a little bit later into that. Richard Hart, if you didn't know, was the most probably public and talky Bitcoin maxi at the time on the internet. As far as he was giving his real ideas about Bitcoin uncensored on the internet, people were like doing other shit still.
So you found this dude talking about Bitcoin who's just being more vocal, because it's hard to put it into context for people who see the internet today, but back in 2015, the internet was a different fucking thing. And you found this dude who's talking about Bitcoin, and that was kind of like the where you left off in terms of
so it was in 27, it was early 2017, and because I'd heard about Bitcoin, and I was similar to Richard, big into Reddit forums back in the day and things like that. And so I went on Reddit and read more about Bitcoin, and somehow I'm always a fan of not just like the context itself of like the like, I don't go on Reddit anymore, but I wasn't just a fan of the post, but it was always the comments, right? The message board aspect. And so a number of times I had heard Richard Hart's name pop up because, as you mentioned, he was the, premier Bitcoin maxi. And so long story short, I, had seen a whole bunch of controversy, just people shit talking him. And, I said this story last night, but anytime in life, and like, it's a really good lesson for people to learn and to, use as well. But anytime you see someone shit talking another person without that person being there to back themselves up or to defend themselves, then for me, I always verify like, hey, is this actually true? Or is this person just speaking from opinion and not fact? And so long story short, I had looked at Richard's channel, seen the candelabra, all the other like, was it like the Willy Wonka looking outfits and stuff like this. And I was like, man, this guy seems really cool, and then I've got a really good sense for people and just kind of sensibility for, authenticity. And when you see someone in Motley saying, amen, Bren, like he's seen a lot of the streams that I have, and a lot of us have spent hundreds and probably like thousands, if not tens of thousands of hours, listening to his content and reading all of it. But the point is after such a long time of someone streaming for so consistently, you can see through the BS, and he didn't have any BS for me to see through. He was always transparent and just really cool.
And so then you were following them, and is that when you got into crypto, like back in 2015?
So 2017, not 2015. Yeah.
Oh,
so
sorry.
2017. Yeah, no, it's all good. I just want to clarify for the viewers. Yeah, it was early 2017. So I looked at Bitcoin. It was like $1,000 at the time. Bought a Bitcoin. But then like I'd always heard like narratives in crypto, like Litecoin's the silver, Bitcoin's the gold, and so I got really big into the Litecoin community at the time. And then I just learned a lot of crypto is narratives, and a lot of crypto is Furu's trying to sell you their bags and pump their bags, things like that. And so when Richard had decided he had called the Bitcoin top, he had called a couple of other things. I remember the stream that he had called the Bitcoin top, and I was kind of like,
we
in
should go
denial,
back
like
one day, Sam, and look at some of these. I'll clip out a few minutes of these streams, like the crazy cool parts from like years and years ago, and we can compare and contrast it today, what he was saying.
Yeah, so he called the Bitcoin top, and a lot of us were like in denial or, whatever, who's this, pleb thinking that he's going to call the Bitcoin top, and it's actually true. And so he called it at the 20K top and went to 3K. And long story short, he had said, hey, I can do this better. And I really liked that idea. And that was right as I was kind of just almost giving up in crypto, because I'd gotten wrecked from, trading, buying trading courses, watching a whole bunch of people on YouTube that were top 5 altcoins of the week, top 10 gems, all this stupid BS.
What's in my wallet? What I'm buying?
Yeah. So anyways, Richard was kind of like that Hail Mary, and I just knew that, hey, if there's someone that can do it after looking at his, I'd been following him for a couple of years before Hex, right? I just known that, hey, this guy's got previous successful business ventures, and if there's anyone I'm going to put my money on. And, this is actually something that I disagree with Richard in his stream with Nerd Girl, right? Nerd Girl would say that, hey, we're kind of not betting on Richard per se, but you bet your ass you're fucking betting on Richard, like it just is what it is. And so Richard disagreed with that, but I definitely agree with Nerd Girl's point. Like I'm betting on Richard. I know that he's got.
Well, it's like you're betting on Richard Brand, but you're betting on the what other people have shown you as well. If there was 100 Richards, we wouldn't be betting on Richard. We'd be scared to death. But there's like no one who's doing authentic work anymore. There's like a handful. So you're like, oh my God, this dude is one. Let's cut all the crap. He's not getting paid to play. Let's just call it what it is. Can we call it what it is? Clearly, no one's paying the dudes. He doesn't even turn on his super chats, ads, anything. You could not pay Richard Hart if you wanted to. So if Sam was like, I need to get Richard Hart some money, I guarantee he wouldn't be able to do it, because it's just like he's made that a point in the ethos of his channel so that indirectly he can have the reputation that can foot some of these things. Hold on, I got to plug my PC in.
So yeah, that's pretty much the long story short is, the thing that I'll say too is when Hex first came out, right? Richard had said, hey, I'm going to develop Hex. And for the people that don't know or that weren't there at the very beginning, similar to Pulse Chain, Hex was delayed like a year because it's a smart contract. It had these audits. They had to, with the actual sharing itself.
He was saying when Hex came out, hey, it's going to be out in a couple of months, but it just kept being delayed further and further and further.
4 more weeks. 4 more weeks was the meme, and Pulse Chain's kind of been like two more months and stuff like this. And now it's like, possibly mid-May and things like that for what the devs are projecting, not for what Richard's projecting. But same thing that Richard said, he's always prefaced that, hey, software is hard, especially crypto software. Right. And, anyway, so yeah, when Hex came out, I didn't realize that, cause Richard had a Telegram and things like this. And when I joined the Telegram, that's when I realized, there's a whole bunch of people here that are similar to me, that are like-minded, and kind of just the best of the best, the cream of the crop. And so that was really fun to experience a community that I actually cared about, and that that kind of motivates you.
Did you, since you were in, because like this is my first kind of foray into crypto, really. I mean, I've done some transactions in terms of just receiving payments or paying people, but not really actually looking into anything. And then the first kind of actually getting into crypto is Hex and Pulse X and around this whole ecosystem, right? So I'm like, oh wow, this crypto's a lot of fun, because I see people like yourself, like Motley in the chat, like Crypto Games Club. I mean, there's so many other people who have come into the chat, but have also interacted with on Twitter, that are just like trying to help and trying to make their life better and improve and help other people. So I'm like, oh wow, crypto's awesome, because that's my perspective, is all I've been able to see. But because you have had more experience over a longer period of time, you saw at least a 2-year period of time before you got into Hex. And were you experiencing other communities, and can you contrast that with the other communities versus the Hex community? Because I only see one thing, and I'm like, oh wow, this is fucking cool. Everybody's super helpful. They're very like-minded in a lot of ways, trying to improve the world, trying to improve themselves.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. So pretty much the only community that I was really in was like the Litecoin fam and things like that. And yeah, I mean, there's definitely some similarities, right? As far as, I mean, when you're invested in something, it's like anything, or it's unlike anything else, right? Where, I mean, your money is backed. And so obviously you want that thing to do well, right? You want to support the people that are promoting the coins and things like that. So there was definitely some similarities. I mean, I would just say that the Hexicans obviously do everything better in kind of like a, in full force type of deal, but that's so much easier when you have, success, proven track record, immutability, things like that. But as far as the Litecoin community,
the immutability really is like I didn't know this at the time when I learned about it. I didn't care about it. But now that I think about it, the immutability is the thing that really pushes it past a lot of stuff, in my opinion. The fact that it can't be stopped, and there's so many front ends, and that it's just like you do the moon math in your head, and you're like, what could possibly happen in order to shut this off? And it's always ends in me thinking I'm going to be with a gun down at the grocery store, trying to harvest meat, because at what point is civilization crushed, right? Because they make so many rules that's what I think. At what point can they just do the China thing and make the servers whatever they want them to be?
Doesn't hurt to be prepared.
I'm so prepared for anything, dude. I'm so prepared for I'm dude, I'm figuring out stuff to put in the basement as far as food and stuff, just in case. I'm just fucking saying, I'm not paranoid, mom or dad, but
there's a difference
ahead of time.
Yeah, there's a difference between being paranoid and prepared, and just being aware. I mean, I think it's super important to be aware of your surroundings and kind of intuitive to what's going on, right? Because if you're following the rest of the sheep and they're freaking walking to the slaughterhouse, you don't want to be in that line, right? You can see clearly the sheep ahead are getting slaughtered, you know, hung up on the racks and stuff. So maybe go the other way. So I definitely agree. And, you know, as far as the people that try and like slander and straw man for like calling stuff like that paranoia, obviously there's extremes in anything, but yeah, being prepared, it's just like with what you guys do with bodybuilding and things like that, and being healthy, you know, it's a lifestyle. So that's the way that I see it.
Yeah, and on that note, since we are doing the fitness challenge tomorrow, the sign up, I do just want to remind everyone, like, God, I keep thinking about this much more. I never thought I'd be talking about fitness on the internet, ever. Like, Sam, I'm telling you, I never once. You know me, like, I've always loved fitness, but I've never been one to, like, really push it. It's just not, but now I'm like, dude, this is useful as fuck. Some people really don't know that you can live, and I'm not saying they're stupid or anything. Everyone has skills and different things that are good at. I have blind spots, like, galore. And, but geez, Louise, for an hour and a half, I can change your life forever per day. And you can do it every day easily. And you can meet more friends by going to the gym anyway, if that's something you like to do. Like, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be 100% honest. I do most of my dating at the gym, and shaving and showering at the gym. And I get a haircut.
Yeah, like-minded people.
Yeah.
Dude, 200,000 people are signed up at my gym.
Well, you also go to a gym that's like the Taj Mahal.
No, I know. I'm saying, but like as a life hack, if you have money, of course, like let's say you just don't, like you say, okay, you know, I have a busy life. I'm an entrepreneur. Hey, I'll just double down, pay $150 for the gym a month, I'll shave there, and you can flirt with every girl that goes in there if you're nice and normal. You know, you don't want to be running around. You just want to be a normal guy. I have guy friends in the gym galore, girlfriends in the gym galore. I talk to a lot of people in the gym. You know what I mean? And some of them are people I would do business with in the future. I've gotten some of them into Hex. They call me GRC.
It's definitely just like in the Hex community, but it's like another community that's in the physical world, and you can see these people for a brief period of time if you choose to interact with them while you're there for however long you're there. And like I don't know, Brand, if you saw, but my buddy came onto my channel to learn more about crypto and whatnot. And I met him when I was like 17 years old, and I met him at the gym like 20 years ago. And you meet friends in the gym, girlfriends in the gym, but it is definitely another community that somebody could join. The fitness challenge, though, I think is going to be really awesome. I don't honestly believe a lot of people are going to realize how much has gone into making this really great. Like,
yeah, dude, I'm trying my freaking best, dude. Bullish is going ham in the background, dude. Helping us.
So
Bullish
cool.
is I don't want to say anything about his career or anything, but he does social media stuff for a living. So he does. That's what he's always done, right? And he's a little more flexible with his career now, and he loves helping guys that are new and like pumped up and like we're pumped up. You know what I mean? And he likes that. Like, so he's helping us with some of the stuff that we have blind spots about, which is very large blind spots in the social media game, dude. It takes a minute in the social media game.
So you got into Hex at the beginning, right? And then
when did you get into Bitcoin?
I mean, it was like sub $1,000 initially. It was like $900, something like that, and then it went to 1,000. I think it might have dipped again, and then it pretty much like never went below 1,000 again after that.
Did you?
It was early 2017.
It was. Saw Richard Hart. Were you sold on Bitcoin before you ever saw Richard Hart? Or were you just
I was sold on the. I was. Well, so the thing is like, I don't know. I'd kind of just known that. I'd always kind of felt like stocks were for boomers and things like that. And that, like, you know, hey, that's cool that you got in Amazon and, you know, not Netflix, Amazon and some of these Google, other companies, Facebook. Right? So, yeah, Google, Facebook early on. But, you know, it's just like, you know, Jim Rat was asking in the green room, like, you know, is it too late for Bitcoin and things like that? And after 6.9 million X, yeah, it's too late for Bitcoin, you know, unless you want to, you know, not have any gains type of deal, or
unless you have really petty bags to the point where you never have to look at them again. Like, if you have fat bags to the point where you never need to look at them again, I don't think Bitcoin's the worst place to park your money for certain. But I mean, you could put like 10 grand into something that'll outperform it.
Do you think that because we're in the community of paying attention to crypto, so we're like see crypto, right? And we see like, you know, the Bitcoin is kind of like the dinosaur of crypto, so to speak, right? And we're like, okay, well, we definitely wouldn't use that. But when you put it into like a broader perspective, and you're like, well, if I was in legacy, you're still going to get better returns in Bitcoin than you are in legacy, in my opinion. And what are your thoughts on that, right? Because if somebody's just going to go like hold an index fund.
You're a Tesla guy, right? Didn't Tesla outperform Bitcoin like the past, you know, year and a half?
For a short period of time, yes.
What's
I don't know.
What's Tesla's ROI since launch?
I mean, they came out. I think their IPO was.
I'll look it up.
I don't remember. Yeah, it was a long time ago, but they went from like 0 in 2008, 2009, 2010-ish. I think it was 2010 potentially, and then to like $900 million or $900 billion market cap, right? And I just see it like there's so much more that can be dumped into crypto. And I'm a big, like, if you're going to pick one company, I would say, if you were asking me personally, Bitcoin or Tesla, I would go with Tesla just because of the experience in it. But if you look at the whole legacy world and you're going to be one of those people who invest into like index funds, I would say Bitcoin, from a return standpoint, relative to index funds, is going to perform better. If you compare it to other crypto, no, it's definitely not going to perform better. What are your thoughts on that? If you look at it on a much more broad, like if you're going to say Bitcoin or Tesla,
41,000% since launch. No, 4,125. 4,125% since the close of its first day as a public company. So that's not that much.
You know, it's tough to care, really. Like, it's tough to care about any of these shitty gains when you're just getting hundreds and like thousands of X's. So like, I don't even care to answer the question really, because it's all just, you know, I don't know. I'm probably not the best guy to speculate.
Well, Bran, if you had no hex, no pulse X, no pulse chain, let's just say it never existed and it was just not a thing, right? Like, let's just do thought experiment, and you were still doing well and everything, and everyone was going great. Like, where would you be looking? Like, where would your mind go? Not Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum is okay to mention, but like, is there any other things that you think, you know, have some integrity behind them that maybe still have some explosion?
I've been out the game for so long, ever since I, you know, got in. I mean, yeah, I was, you know, a big fan of Ethereum, a lot more of a fan of Ethereum than say Bitcoin, especially before Hex had come out and things like that, and had switched all of the Bitcoin over to Ethereum, right? And just because of the idea of the utility of actually, you know, being able to have smart contracts. And, you know, Richard always says this, well, you can't do this with Ethereum either, but can you program Bitcoin? No. Can it wake you up in the morning? No. But with the Ethereum smart contracts, I always thought that was pretty cool. And I don't know, it's a tough question to answer, right? Because it's like looking in the back, like it's like looking in the past, and obviously it's for the viewers and things like that. But I'm glad that I'm not in that situation that you bring up in the hypothetical question.
Well, it's not even that. It's just like knowledge, right? Like, where's your head at? If your head is stuck on Bitcoin, like, RIP to you, because you're going to be working the next 5 years trying to dollar cost average into Bitcoin, and you're going to be like, shit, I should have not been doing that. I should have. And then that's what most people do at the start, right? Most people dollar cost average into Bitcoin, and then something catches their attention to the point where they're like, I want to make a move on this. I'm not making enough to change my life, so why not?
I've got a buddy who's got several $100,000 of Bitcoin, and he doesn't know anything else about the rest of crypto, or very little. And so he wants to talk because he sees that I'm putting out a lot of content. So he messaged me the other day. He said, hey, man. And I know he's like into Bitcoin just because that was his thing. He was just like into Bitcoin to buy and hold it, but he just doesn't know about the rest of it. So I have a conversation with him. Hopefully, you know, this weekend or sometime this next week, and actually get to talk to him about, you know, what is actually going on in crypto, and I can share with him about Hex and other things. And that's because if I
love the people. I tried to DM a couple of Bitcoin maxis. Not going to lie, for today's episode, I was like trying to find anyone who wanted to come on and buck a little bit. But you know, it's not too easy to find people that really represent Bitcoin. Yeah, they might speak loud about it when there's lots of people and they're on camera or something. But behind the scenes, guys, come on. These guys are not dumb. They're not dumb. I refuse to believe dudes that are super, super rich that are in crypto are dumb enough to be like, no, that all those other millions as a percents are stupid. Like, there's no way. Maybe they won't say it because they're all paid to play. And that's when we go all the way back to the pay to play thing. Influencer gets paid to do certain things. Those guys that were going up against Richard, you're telling me that they did that out of the kindness of their heart to go on there and get slaughtered on camera in front of everyone? Those guys knew. They know Richard. They have to. They knew they were done. But I feel like there's guys that just represent Bitcoin that just like get plebs to do shit for them. Like, I don't know, dude.
Sam, how long have you known that guy that did the he's got a couple $100,000 worth of Bitcoin? 3 years? Okay. Well, if he's got any sort of common sense and sensibility, then yeah, I think you guys should be able to have like a level-headed conversation without, him being too stubborn, right?
You saw through what I was trying to ask. You saw through kind of like what I was trying to ask in terms of like, hey, like we're buddies. Like I could tell him you're a fucking dumbass and he's not going to give me a hard time, like, because we're friends, right? So, like what. I don't think it'll be an issue just because I'm so excited about it to just share with them and be like, cool, man, maybe I'll check that stuff out or whatever. But if you think about you're just holding, say, $500,000+ of Bitcoin, it's not doing anything for you at all, right? You've thought about staking and losing your control of your money and stuff. And then you hear about like tax, and even if you're just like, okay, cool, I'm going to do that 1 year stake or 6 month stake or something, and you're 7% instead of just like letting it sit there for 6 months, and just to start testing it out and learning more about it, you're like, wow, it's going to completely change what he's into, and I think it will be. At least he's open-minded enough.
Does he know about the 5-hour transactions? Has he sent anything in a while? Like that.
So
that alone, for a guy like me, anyone who knows me knows I have extremely like OCD anxiety about certain things, like taking too long, or like I have to be certain about some things, like before I leave my desk, and then that shit just runs me up the wall. I remember when I was trading Bitcoin for the first couple times, you don't know there's 5-hour transactions. There's no one telling you that shit. And then you're like, oh, I got hacked. You're like, I got hacked. Like this shit's pending for a fucking day. Like I am fucked. Because you have no idea, right?
Sam, yeah. Let me give you some resources to I'm sharing the screen right now if you want to share it. Let me give you some resources to share with your buddy. So the hex.com/Bitcoin kind of just compare some of the similarities, and honestly, like Hex has a lot more similarities, I'd say, than some of the differences, right? Obviously it's got differences, but like where does the inflation come from in Bitcoin? Well, out of thin air, and except it's not using the wasteful proof of work, it's using the useful proof of stake, which what will be pulse chain and things like that. But anyways, some of the actual things that your buddy who's in Bitcoin, who can kind of get a premise of some of these Bitcoin talking points and some of the actual statistics behind it. I put it in the private chat, but it's just a hex.com/Bitcoin, and I think it would be a really good tool, because at the end of the day, dude, like with anything, when I'm trying to convince someone or trying to have like a educated conversation, it's, emotions can sometimes get in the way with the other people, because, they are their beliefs and things like this. But if you can kind of just break it down to some of the logic and the facts that he knows about Bitcoin, if he does, then yeah, I think it'll be a super productive conversation. And, at the end of the day too, you have to ask yourself, why are we in crypto, right? Like, you're kind of lying to yourself if the 99.9% are lying to themselves if they say that they're in it for the tech versus for those mad gains that you heard about the other people making.
Well, okay, question for you, and this is personal, like for myself, selfish reasons, but hopefully it'll be helpful for other people. So proof of work, I'm not saying I have a good technical understanding of it, but I think I have a slight good idea of it. So when I think of proof of stake, it's kind of like proof of work, where you just have all the transactions done by validators, in my mind. Can they talk about that more in depth, so give me a better understanding of proof of stake, right? Because proof of work, in my mind, right, you've got people able to actually, mine, so to speak, depending on what you're talking about, right? You have to set up a node or whatever, you need a certain amount to do it in with Ethereum, right? But you're doing the same thing, but it's just validators now, right? Can you talk to me to give me more context around that, please?
Yeah, so I might not be the best guy to go in depth to it per se, but it's just pretty much like the consensus of the blockchain itself, right? Where Richard the way that he explains like a blockchain and things like that is kind of like an Excel spreadsheet. And so really it's just the change itself is, yeah, in that consensus layer of, instead of using these, SHA-256 or these ASIC miners that use physical energy, yeah, you've got like nodes that kind of do the same consensus that say a miner would do. So I can't really go in depth to as much as I would like not really a whole bunch prepared for the question, but I think it would be good for myself to maybe, research a little bit more just so I can answer this question better in the future. But yeah, pretty much you don't need to be using electricity to get a consensus of, the actual digital ledger itself.
Yeah, because I feel like I want to, that's something I don't think I personally, just as you were kind of like alluding to a little bit, like I feel like that's an opportunity where it's more of like, that's the dark corner where I just don't understand it fully yet. And I need to have a better understanding just so that I can have a more intelligent conversation with people who do know that stuff better than I do. You know what I mean? And just, or my buddy who probably doesn't know about it either, but I can at least educate him on some of those differences better than I am now. Thank you for trying to do that. If I can, I think it might take a month or two, but like I don't have any doubt that he's going to transition over, because he was like originally trying to get me to go more to Bitcoin, and I was like, hey, yeah, crypto, that'll be the next thing I do. That'll be the next thing I do, but never focused on it.
Is real. Ask him, how high do you think it'll go next cycle? 1 million? What do you think it's going to do? A 20x this cycle? Not a fucking chance in goddamn hell. 0% chance. I'd bet my life on it. I'd say if I had to guess for the next cycle, I can't guess when the next cycle will be, or even if the cycle's over, but 160, 200K, maybe max. Like, Jesus Christ, who would buy a Bitcoin for 200K? My fucking God, I'd rather die. I would rather die than buy a Bitcoin for 100K. I'd be like, nope, this life sucks. I'm out. I don't want to make 100K for this Bitcoin.
One comment here from Ethan Gang that I want to ask Bran about, or Jersey. The fundamental flaw with Hex is that it assumes there will always be new demand. So can you talk about that? Because that's one side of it, but you still earn yield, and I'm sure that's what you're going to talk about. But can you touch on that? I
kind of disagree with that, but go ahead, Bran.
I don't know. I mean, that same argument could have been made per se for, and not to say that they're wrong per se, but like if you just look at, say, first mover advantage, right? Say we talked about the big ones, right? The Google or like Alphabet, right? Or Microsoft or some of these other things. Yeah, exactly. Tesla. You kind of have a first mover advantage with not only the community itself, but you also have to ask yourself, like, if that is, and I'd have to look at the comment again, but if that is true, then that means that obviously there has to be something better that kind of overtakes its place. And we've seen a whole bunch of other, copycat coins that tried to take the similar concept of a certificate of deposit or, monetizing the time value of money and seeing them fail, miserably and horribly. Like the chart is literal death. And so all we can really say is that, is there any substantiation to that claim, which, in my opinion, there's not. The fundamental flaw of Hex is that it assumes there will always be new demand. I mean, yeah, the yield itself, think about it.
The vision is that there's 10,000 new stakers every 3 weeks. Like literally,
yeah,
what do you want to say? There's more people being born. Crypto adoption is going literally nuclear in its. So as far as demand, what if nobody else buys Bitcoin? What happens if nobody else buys Bitcoin?
It's the same idea as like GDP, right? So you hear when you get into like economics and stuff, they have the same idea with GDP, because GDP, there's like an implied assumption that you're going to have the growth in the population, which then if that doesn't happen, then the whole bubble bursts, kind of thing. And it's the same idea with that, but you can just pick whatever you want. And with, like, say, Bitcoin or with something else, you don't get to earn the yield. So even if there is no demand, like I'm running numbers for doing some stuff for refinancing a property, I can go buy another duplex, or I could take that or triplex or quad or something, or I could take that and put it into Hex, right? With Hex, I don't have to deal with any of the other stuff, and I get to just earn the yield independent of the price. If the price just stays the same, I still get to make money, which is, like, I don't give a shit. Nobody else buys it. Cool. I'm still going to be able to make money on it, and I don't have to deal with getting more renters in, or finding a property manager, or doing any of the maintenance, or finding somebody to do the maintenance, or it just, like, for me, I'm like, damn, this seems like way better, lower, like, friction for myself, cost to getting this done.
Yeah, like when we talk, like what and I agree with Jim Rat Crypto, right, where he says, one of the biggest thing that he likes about Hex, and I totally agree, is that it is immutable. And so where else can you get such yields, even if you're staking for a year or things like this? God. Yeah, exactly. And Richard always talks about that too, that like, someone could kill Richard or whatever, and obviously not putting that out there, but just saying, hey, it's a possibility, right? And guess what? Like, Hex users unaffected as far as the contract itself. So people that think that that's a viability, it's not the case. And so Richard's smarter than that. He knows that going against, the second most popular product at your bank, you're going to be going against some big wigs. And so if you can do something better, then kind of the consensus of a free market is that they'll go to what's better. And so if people can realize the idea that counterparty risk is not something that they want to be having, right? Because then all your trust is into that other person. It's like sometimes people, they earn yield on their Bitcoin or their Ethereum or whatever by delegating it to someone else who's a counterparty. And it's like, man, you're really picking up pennies in front of a freight train, as he says. But as far as the idea that there will be decreasing demand in the future and things like this, or that it won't always be the best, like that's fine to have as an idea, but just like Jim Rat said, I mean, the numbers don't really corroborate that thought and that sentiment. And so like it's almost like it's a parade of imaginary horribles that people that I know in my life that fucking sold at, what was it, 20% of a penny. This is the same arguments that they try and tell me. And it's like, when are you going to wake up and smell the flowers, buddy? When are you going to realize that the grass is green and it's not blue? I don't know. And I'm not saying that, once again, you can't entertain these other sides. But once again, when you see a community of people that are developing, these financial products for traditional systems to get into, like the grayscale of Bitcoin, but for Hex, when you know that trillions of dollars can go into those kinds of financial products, like, there's a lot of people that are in the Hex community that aren't public, that are silent, but that are, look at the Godwill, look at these other big wigs. And so just kind of that community itself builds momentum. And so if you were to develop something that was to overtake it, you'd have to convince all those other people that, that'd be really hard to do.
Comments are going wild, brother. Wild. I'm trying to pull the RH and not miss too much, but my God, hey,
let's go over them, dude.
What I have to say, Ethan game.
On the demand thing, I agree with the sentiment if you play that out in perpetuity, but we're like, if you at least
800 days in.
But exactly, if you pay attention to reality, like we're like at this amount. So if, say, in 10 years, you realize that there's 30% of the population in there, I guarantee between now and 10 years, there's going to be something else that's just fucking amazing that you're going to be like, okay, let me put some money into
I'm jacked up right now. I am jacked up right now. I swear to God, I'm like in a little state of like, because Brian, when you remind yourself how good Hex is, you like go a couple days, do family shit, this, that, and the other. And then someone like explains Hex real good, and you're like, damn. You're like, that's my coin. That's what I'm upping with. Like, you know what I mean? You're like, that's my shit. That's what I named the show off of in the beginning. Like, that's what I believe in 100%. And it makes you realize just more and more and more that we're just like-minded men finding each other. And we're not stupid also. These like, what happens when it runs out of money? Like, yeah, we move on. RH moves on. Everyone moves on. It becomes a certificate of deposit that all the plebs use. And we move on to something else. That is how things change, right? Everyone's aware of adoption and the slowing of rate with economic mass. As economic mass moves forward, the rate in which it increases will slightly move down over time. Right. That's as clear as day to anyone who invests at all, and including RH and all the hexagons. We have P-Hex now. We have Pulse Chain. We have PulseX. We can do whatever the absolute F we can think of. anything that your little brain can think of can be done within weeks.
Let's cover some of these contents because these are good comments and sometimes they're not as detailed. Okay.
Hey, K4K, good morning. Sam, I'm gonna let you go off for 1 second, but K4K, good morning. Everyone in the comments, I am so sorry for neglecting you like always. I'm working every day to get better with the comments. Please share this out. We got another hour to 45 minutes, another 45 minutes just to chat.
Oh yeah, dude.
Guys, this is amazing. I'm having the time of my life. Let's go. Share this out. Hit the like. Sam, what do you got?
Nito says, do you have advice which stablecoin would be good for the copy? I don't know. I've heard, who was that dude we talked to the other day who said that he knows developers who have a project, an ERC20, that they're going to invalidate whatever goes on to Pulse. Bran, what are your thoughts on somebody wants to hold a little bit of stable or some stable in their portfolio? What would be one that you think could put, and obviously we're not recommending anything here, guys, but what would be something that like you're like, hey, stable, this one might be interesting?
Yeah. So once again, I'd love to have some of these, questions if obviously they're available in the future and if they're willing to share it with, Motley attendees, because I really appreciate those guys' opinions and experiences and things like that. But the thing that I'll say is what Richard talks about, that if Circle, who is, the owner and kind of thing of USDC that has the admin keys, if they did invalidate the coins on the Pulse Chain network, well, Richard mentions that then you could then sue the hell out of them for kind of stealing that value. As far as the actual counterparty risk thing goes, you'd mentioned, hey, there's stable coins with, say, admin keys, which, they've got the master button to inflate, all these other things, remove, right? But then there's also the algorithmic coins. When it comes to stables, I was thinking DAI or USDC as kind of, just two options. But there's obviously that possibility of, say, invalidation. But it's a good question. I'd really love to see what other people thought as well, because
why don't we set up for, now that I love scheduling and everything, maybe next Saturday we can set up that conversation with you, me, Wendy's, Sam, and we'll go into that or whatever. We'll figure out a day, and they love to come on here and chat. And we're all prepping for the fitness challenge, so we get to
talk about that. What Bran, GRC just mentioned PHEX, right? So we have PHEX and EHEX. So we're going to get copies of both of these things, right?
Yep.
Have you thought about what happens for the interest rate, right? So say you have Pulse PHEX, and because the transactions are so lower, that could encourage people to do shorter stakes because it's not as advantageous for people to assume, like, we're not like the same size as you, right? In terms of you've got a lot more economic mass to play with, so it doesn't matter to you. It's looking at other things, but people who are starting out are thinking about those things where you might not necessarily be thinking about those things. So there's going to be some impact. What do you think about that? Like, do you think the interest rate on Pulse is going to be higher over time? Do you think that the duration of 6.4 years is going to change? I'm curious to hear your thoughts on all that stuff.
So, the way that the yield itself is derived is obviously from the inflation and the amount of shares that each individual has, right? Whether it's T shares or even one share, obviously gets you a certain percentage of that pie, right? The thing that I'll say is that there's so many people that are kind of starved out of being able to participate in the system with the Ethereum fees and some of these things going on. So what I'm trying to say is that I see possibly the yield, I would think, just from a logical standpoint, that the yield would be lower on, say, Hex, which is, Hex on Pulse Chain, than it is for, say, EHEX, right? Because there's going to be less economic, mass, I would think. And say, as far as the people that can afford the fees, it's the people that are in the EHEX. But there's so many people, once again, the $100, $200, $300, whatever it is, that are going to be putting, in stakes. And so they're going to be taking away from some of that that yield or some of that inflation. So I would think that there would probably be, obviously there's going to be incentive, right? Because there's cheaper fees and things like that. But that's just kind of my thoughts, is that the more people that you have in, that have slices of pie, then kind of like the more it might go down. I mean, I'm not too sure though.
No, yeah, I'm curious. We all have no idea, but we're
that's true.
but it's fun.
Is it fair to say this is going to be the most interesting thing that's happened in our life, like in my lifetime, as far as something I'm covering? Like, this is something. This is like going to college to me. Like, the whole college experience for someone, whatever, studying shit. I'm like, this is 10 fucking million times better.
So, did you guys catch that in the live stream the other day? In terms of when Richard mentioned that he is going to give a heads up before the snapshot. That was the first time. That was the first time he mentioned it since I've watched his streams, and I haven't heard him mention that before. It's possible he mentioned that in previous ones that I have not watched, but I found that interesting because there's going to be people who that opens up doors to do things, or at least in their mind, the strategy that they have for this happening is going to be impacted by that.
He's definitely going to try to front run it so no bad players can get in there and do it. So however he does it, he's going to have thought about it for sure, because he knows that. He mentions that all the time. He's like, he does certain things in a way so it can benefit the people that he wants to support, or he wants supporting the ecosystem, right? Like, he would rather us Hexicans have better optimal early exchange opportunity than like random dudes like sharks that are out there trying to fucking wreck just trade, right? They just want money. It doesn't really matter where it comes from. So it's like literally a billion possibilities of what could happen the day that this shit like launches and bridges and comes over. Like, I am under the impression that it is absolutely unpredictable.
No, 100%. But if you talk about it enough and you have enough influence, and you can like just what the media talks about, right? Because they want to be able to have the control to shape people's reality. So if there's enough people that are talking about it, and say Brand comes on here, and then 27 other people that come on before it launches, who like Motley comes on, or Wendy's, or like anybody else that has a voice that people respect, and everybody has they have a perception that is kind of pushing in one direction, then that shapes reality, because then people are going to perceive that as the actual reality and try to play off of that, if that makes sense. Because that's what happens in reality when you look at the news, when you look at like, what that comes out of like mainstream media. Like, that's how they go about changing.
I'm going to read this comment from Motley real quick. EHEX average stake length will start to increase due to Ethereum fees. The average APY is only affected by the percentage of people staked, and there's only about 10% of HEX outside of the OA. So that's interesting. EHEX average stake length will start to increase, but hasn't EHEX average stake length will start to equal the average APY is only affected.
Well, does the average stake length affect the APY?
Hold on one second. Does the average stake length? Well, it depends. If you change the numbers, you can make it not like according to different scenarios potentially, I think, but I don't know.
What do you know off the top of your head, Brand?
Definitely, yeah. Motley saying no. I'm definitely one of those guys that's like, hey, when I don't know something or not the most competent, so I'd say save these questions or at least I'll.
Well, no, that's great. That's super great that you answer that. And that's why we love you so much, because you're open-minded. You've been mentioning that you've been a little off the books as far as just like staring at crypto content all day, right? Like, let's be honest, like you've probably changed a few things up in your life as well as you've moved forward, family, friends, lifestyle, you know what I mean? And like, I would do this, I think every human would do similar actions as far as like, there's a lot of important things. Okay, let's say your bag just theoretically gets to $100 billion. Do you still have to be staring at the screen at the same intensity as you did? Maybe, but I think naturally a human mind would like think about the future and the family and
switch kill 65. I agree, Gio. So it depends on the person's goals, right? Switch kill mentions APY is affected by stake percentage, not the length. Thank you. Perfect. The length will tend to increase just because people want to get the max, and in order to get the max, you just have to go past the average, I believe. So thank you for answering that question. That's dope. It'll be interesting. Do you have any thoughts for yourself? Because you're going to have your bag on both sides. So you're going to be like, do you have any thoughts on how you might approach that? Like, hey, have a different strategy
in a general way.
Yeah, for eHex versus Hex.
So for eHex, I already kind of developed a strategy a long time ago after having so many damn stakes, learning that, okay, less is more, is that kind of just what I like to do is just annual stakes, like a staking ladder, have that economic mass yield you more shares than, say, diluting the shares between multiple stakes, which you're obviously going to have more fees with. So as far as that goes, I mean, it's a really good question because sometimes myself, or I've heard Wales mention this before too, but you count the shares that you have in your head and multiply it by the daily payout, and then you forget that, oh yeah, we're getting a copy, and then, oh yeah, sacrifice for Pulse Chain and PulseX. But to answer your question, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I might experiment with, say, like, I don't know, maybe quarterly stakes, say, on Pulse Chain, just to try it out. But the cool thing about this is, like, it's like what Richard says, where you get to a point where, like, when is enough, or kind of like what Jim Rat Crypto is saying, where, once you have certain things that are kind of just flowing continuously, it's
how much immutable money printing do you need before you're like, hey kids, you want to hang out? Like that's what I always think to myself, because I'm the kind of guy that'll work through a relationship and never leave his desk, and kind of like, I get like that, and it's a part of the way I am, but I can also change that mood for it a little bit. But I'm saying, like, at some point I would have to be like, okay, Scott, like, you're gonna die. There's people out there that you're attached to now, and so that's like it would just change the way I think, right? But at the same, thank you so much, Tank Crypto. I love your name and your little emblem. It's really cool. Tank Crypto, thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. It is a really cute little jelly bean guy.
Did you guys?
K for K Crypto, APY is way, way smaller of the two things relating to the value accrual. The Hex price is responsible for 10,000x returns, and the APY the APY, if you unstake today from the beginning, is 2x. Therefore, if you did not stake, you would have double your gains. I mean, if you do stake, you'd have double rather than if you held liquid, right?
Because you're just getting more coins with the APY kind of thing.
But double.
In terms of, what do you mean double?
Like, you get hit the value. If you had the same amount of Hex as me, you never staked it at all, and I staked it all right in the beginning, I would have double. Wait, no, way more than double, right, Bran?
You'd have 10,000 if you were staking, is what he's saying.
10,000.
10,000. Oh, I would have 10,000 x return, and you would have 20,000 x.
20,000 x return.
Yes.
Isn't that crazy though? What the fuck, dude? That's really disgusting. Sorry for the language. I mean, that is disgusting, guys. This exists, like, and we're speaking of it, and you can go on your computer and, like, do it, like, whenever you want. It's really sick, nasty. Whenever you have a little extra money, maybe a side gig, maybe you did a little opportunity for someone, $800, get a T-share out there, throw it out, get locked in. Because if the one thing that Hex is amazing is it makes you feel like your future's so bright that you can, like, take a little pressure off of, just, like, even though, like, you have to pay all your bills and shit for sure, and, like, everyone's bills are way fucking different for sure, it does make you feel like, oh my God, one day, like, I might not have to deal with this shit at all. So I'm going to, like, leverage for that moment, right? Like, for me, it's like, I'm going to leverage for that moment because I know it already exists in the future. All I have to do is be the best living organism possible for when that starts occurring, so that I can actually handle it. Because a lot of people, you know how it gets, right?
Yeah.
Mental illness, money.
Yeah. Dude, sudden wealth syndrome's no effing joke. It really is no joke. And, like, I've seen this about people that are, like, celebrities, right? Like, people that didn't want fame or got fame and then ended up, self-medicating or doing some of these other things because they weren't used to it. So it is one of those things that you can, it's kind of like with anything else, where you can try and prepare as much as possible for something, but you never really know how you're going to react or how your emotions and body and things like this are going to react until you're in that situation. And so, yeah, it's definitely good to listen to those streams and maybe other people that have, have gone through some of that stuff.
How was that for you? How was that for you? Because you went through it, I would assume. Right?
Yeah.
Like you go through it, you're like, damn, I don't need everything.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's kind of like a surreal feeling sometimes. You know, like slap yourself in the face and, all right, okay, we're not dreaming, you know, things like that. But you know, the thing that I would say is that I don't know, it's kind of like what some people say about, you know, people like the more wealth you have, the more it kind of just shows your true colors, or you know, if
just
you
like steroids, Sam, it does the same thing. If you're there's some people that are super aggressive in real life. They were when they were young. They were when they were in middle school. They were in high school. They take steroids. Those are the guys that go nuclear on steroids. It's never the guys that are like, oh, I have a great family and I went to my doctor and I got some steroids. And they're like, no, nothing will occur. But it's those meathead dudes that, you know, maybe something horrible happened. So that's a good point. It seems like the wealth just accentuates your personality as is, kind of.
No, yeah, no, it's interesting. I always enjoy hearing people's perspectives who have gone through that, just because you can't understand something until you go through it yourself. Like you can hear about it, but you can't understand it until you go through it yourself. Just like this with Bob here, I was homeschooled. Math is be hard, right? So that's actually interesting. I wanted to highlight that just because it connects with me, because it's something that I went through, and it was going right off of what we were talking about. And in terms of understanding that perspective, Bob, I was homeschooled my whole life, K through 12. I was not in a classroom until college. So it's a completely different perspective, because like nobody can relate to that. Like there's very, very few people who can relate to never being in a classroom, like until you're like, you know what I mean? It's such a different, like most people can't relate to your situation, Brad. Because
Jim, you're muted.
You're muted. It's
I don't
definitely
know different. If he was talking to us or not. But.
Well, no, I was saying there's no one. That's the same. The reason no one can relate to you the way you think, including myself, I can't really relate, is because literally no one's gone through a congruent experience as you. Maybe but a few people. Maybe Bob the guy. Bob's also a robot type of dude, so it would make sense. Maybe Bob and Sam are both robots.
Well, it's beautiful, dude, because there's like a spectrum, right? Richard had mentioned you could be like the dumbest person in crypto, or you know, sometimes you've got that Dunning-Kruger where like people they're you know, they're almost what's he say, like they're smart enough just to be dangerous, things like that, where you know, even Bob mentions, hey, he's not the biggest math guy, but guess what? I mean, he understands, you know, the value propositions, of Hex, you know, Maxi, and some of these other things. And so that's really cool, because some people, they I don't know, it's almost like a never-ending fallacy where they've got never-ending arguments. And then it's kind of like that Peter Schiff argument, right? Where that guy had the opportunity to buy Bitcoin at $1, and instead of kind of embracing it, he's just argued with it for the past like 10 years. So you definitely don't want to be one of those guys.
And then bought it when, you know, it's like, when did these guys buy 45K, 60K, when they knew about it at $1, when they knew about it at 50 cents?
I don't know if he ever has. I mean, I'm not too sure.
They're like, okay, guys, if we're going to go all in on this, now that we know it's safe and it's 40 grand a piece.
Hey, do you guys, on a side note, so I filmed this video last night. It's going to be coming out later today, but just a sneak preview, because I think you guys will find this very interesting.
Yeah.
Did you guys see, and I can share some of the data behind it in a moment, but did you guys see the tweet from Richard Hart where he was like, hey, what do you think was more powerful effectively, the 10,000x coin, the buying the diamond, or $27 million?
I said buying the diamond. In my head.
You're correct. So if you look at the
article, people write articles about shit like that. That's the only thing, right? People love to write articles.
So check this out. So can you guys see this?
Oh, you're the best, Sam. We love this kind of shit.
Let me zoom in here. 1 second here.
Okay, can you get? Well, let me go to the top. Let me show you. Let me tell you what this shit is first. Okay, this is
Social Blade. Yeah.
Walk through it real slow for us, Sam. Talk about your point.
Okay, so this is Social Blade. So they just an aggregator of social media analytics, right? So influencers use this to like prop up their ego, or to gather research, or like companies who are using it for marketing might use this for different reasons. And what I did is look up the YouTube channel for Richard Hart. So you plug that in, and it just gives you some like data across the top here. But if you come to the bottom here, and you wanted to understand if something is impactful, first you figure out that the Enigma diamond was sold in around the 9th, 10th of February, because that's when all the articles came out. And check this out. So you see this data that's pretty like consistent, nothing crazy. There's a little bit of a pop right here. This was 2 months after Hex launched, so there was probably some type of media attention which caused this pop, right? And then you see like a shift change. So like the slope of the line actually increased here. There's a directional change, and you're like, okay, what happened then? And that was when Pulse came out, right? So you see that Pulse like changed the trajectory. But then you see this. This is literally the biggest jump in the history of this chart from 2 years ago. What happened there and then? The diamond was purchased. You see the biggest increase in the number of subscribers on his YouTube channel in the month when he did that. Then you do the same thing exactly occurs with the views, right? So this is total views by month going back to 2019. Again, the biggest jump here in terms of views on his YouTube channel was when he purchased a diamond. I filmed a whole video with like several other pieces of this because I was like, maybe somebody can share this with Richard, because he could take his money and put it into these types of things. It would be way more impactful.
Yeah, I took a course once, Sam, believe it or not. I say this about every freaking thing because I literally took a course on so much bull crap, but some of it was really good. But I took this course once about, and it was almost like I didn't follow much of the advice, but I was listening the whole time. And they were kind of mentioning like how to get famous in a way, right? Like that was kind of, it was kind of an underground course. So I don't think there was a lot of people in here. But so this guy came on and he was basically showing people how to get articles written about them.
Yes, there's guys who I could pay somebody to write those so that I could get on.
I know, it's kind of disgusting, and it's like something RH won't end up doing because he's going to say this is stupid. I'm just paying someone to make an article about me at the end of the day. But he will go further than that. He says, "No, I'll just spend $100 million on a diamond, and then people will do it." And if he has the money to do that, why not?
Well, you think about it, right? The diamond was $4.3 million. So $4.3 million gets you global press coverage. If we look at another one that I looked at, so this is the same exact
point. Yeah, that's a great point. That's not that much for global press coverage.
Fucking cheap. It's
True.
cheap as hell.
Organic. Yeah.
This is his
cool, dude. Marketing is so funny.
This is his Twitter. Same data. Check this out, right? You're like, cool, growing. We see a step up in terms of the growth when Pulse comes out, and then we see the biggest, again, increase in his number of followers on Twitter happened when he decided to purchase that diamond, and the news came out. Like the ROI for the doing things like that.
Jerry Oaksmith, thank you so much for the $22 super chat. Grab a ribeye on me. Thank you very much, Jerry Oaksmith. I appreciate your support, and I can't wait for you to be in the fitness challenge. I'm hoping that you will be in the fitness challenge. Everyone in here real quick, the fitness challenge sign up will be tomorrow. We got 86 live viewers. Tomorrow, you have to be watching to get the sign up. Well, you don't have to be watching because you can watch the replay, but you better be watching. Guys, sign up tomorrow. Going to be nuclear.
Here,
we're going.
Tell us what that entails, right? So give us more details.
No, tomorrow's like the
what's
day. Like
sign
the
up
whole
tomorrow?
Is about, the whole stream is about that tomorrow.
Okay.
So, but the sign up, if you guys miss tomorrow, it's the whole week. You'll have the whole week to sign up until May 1st. On May 1st, it's going to be closed. So there's a little bit of urgency to make sure you get in. Like, so you're like busy tomorrow. You're like going to church, family shit, or whatever, right? You'll have the whole week to sign up. We'll be doing a segment on it every single day. And it's gonna be awesome. We're gonna dive into
tomorrow. Starting tomorrow, if you tune in at all, whether that's on replay or live, you're gonna have every single detail you need to be in the contest, and then it's very simple. But we're just gonna do it all in one day for organization's sake.
Okay.
To start one day and then go to the next, because you know how it gets. People start DMing you, and then you're like, yeah. Like we ironing out like one or two details last night, so it was hard for me to really answer. But now we're pretty much locked in. And
we're gonna have a leaderboard and stuff. And
it's gonna be sick. There's just like, okay, I'll give you a little sneak preview. I said
some breadcrumbs
in my head, guys. Real quick before I read that super chat. So like, there's gonna be little tasks on the side that are optional, right? They're kind of optional, like a 10-minute walk, right? Or like a 20-minute walk, or like stuff like that. Could be a little more intense, could be a little less intense, but you get points if you do them. And like you move up the leaderboard by all the extra stuff you do, and then plus all the progress we'll be monitoring throughout. That's how we're going to kind of determine who the top 3 people are.
Also, if anybody sees it and they're like, well, I don't really want to do a challenge, but I would love to support people bettering their lives. I love to support people taking action on things that are going to improve the quality of their life. And you want to support with maybe you own a business or something like that in terms of prizes, or donate towards the prize money, that all the money is going to be going towards the winners. So we're going to also have
And this
something
is
like
100% free. There is no charge for none of this stuff. All you have to do is give a burner email. Literally, it doesn't even have to be your fucking email. It can be your Twitter email. That is the only thing I need from you, guys. So I tried to make it. We tried to make it like you have to do a little bit of third-party shit, right? In some way, shape, or form, you have to get off of YouTube live stream, right? So I'm not going to tell you how everything works. I'm going to tell you tomorrow, but all you really need is one email. Like, you don't need a phone number. You don't need shit. You don't even need your real name. I don't give a fuck if it's on there. As long as but I mean, at some point, there's going to be pictures at some point if you want to win. But anyway, if you just want to join and watch everyone, that's totally cool too. Like, just to be like, oh, I'm a little too nervous to like really get involved, but you can still do the same shit. Like, it's okay if you don't win and you just get really healthy too.
And we're also going to be doing an AMA on there. So like a live.
Real quick, Hex.Turtle, a some healthy side. Great info, Sam. You are on fire. What's in that mason jar? Let me guess. Some unsweetened iced tea.
Yes, this is
ginger?
just
What is that?
black. Yes, sir. Yeah, that's good. This is ginger.
Oh, nice.
So,
You gotta love ginger.
So good for you. I also was talking about blood pressure and ginger like a while back, and somebody sent me a message. They saw the show on Twitter. They messaged me, and he's like, hey, I saw your thing. My blood pressure has been an issue. I even posted it on Instagram because I was like, wow, this is a beautiful message that he sent me. That he has had an issue with his blood pressure. Just a note of thanks. Been working on getting my blood pressure down. 2 years ago was 155. If you don't know what blood pressure, 155 is like, go to the fucking doctor right now. Like, that's not good at all. Retired from my job, thanks to Hacks 2 months ago. Fucking awesome. And he's down to 134. 134 is still stage 2.
Sure.
Still stage 2. Big improvement, but still stage 2. It increases the risk of like heart attack, stroke, metabolic syndromes, etc. Oh, yeah. He's like, he listened to the thing where we were talking about fresh ginger. Added fresh ginger to my daily tea a week ago. This morning, the first time his blood pressure has registered 118 over 76. That's amazing. I'm super happy. Like, that's dope. Wow. You know what I mean?
How long ago was that? Like, that's what, within a couple week or a couple
I posted
back,
this
something like that.
I posted this 4 days ago, and I got that message I think probably 2 or 3 days before that, but I didn't get into my messages. And the show we were talking about it was maybe like 2 weeks before that. So if anybody like,
that's super cool.
Awesome. It's fantastic.
Yeah, Sam is when it comes. If I was to say it, Sam's specialties are, other than obviously lifting weights and all that shit, like he knows how to be healthy, like legit. Like not like me healthy. Like I tell people this all the time, and I don't think it's any bit of a problem. I'm not the healthiest motherfucker in the world, but I know how to be beach bod ready 24. I mean, all year round. Those are kind of two different skill sets, but you also evolve as you get older, right? Like my stomach starts to hurt when I eat shit now. So I'm kind of like, oh, I can't eat that. And it's probably the same thing that happened to Sam. At some point, his diet was different. He was still ripped. But now Sam is a master of being ripped year round and having the discipline to like keep paying attention to your organ health long term. So because organ health, I mean, and I do pay attention to organ. I'm not gonna lie, to some degree, like I pay attention. Organ health, guys, and it's hard to talk about. It's so hard to talk about if you feel like you're unhealthy. I know it's so hard to talk about, but like, guys, it's reality. You will die and you won't care anymore. Nobody will care if you were nervous about it. Like, you have to understand there's tests you can get, monitor your blood pressure, stuff you can do that aren't statins. And if you want to be a fucking dude who just takes a statin and survives longer, that's fine too. But there's stuff out there. If you go to your doctor and talk to people, you can be very proactive about your heart health, in my opinion.
I know, just your overall, like,
yeah.
But
heart health's the number one killer. That's the only reason I say it.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. According to the CDC, it's like heart disease. Go ahead, Brad.
Oh, that's important that you mentioned, right? And Richard talks about this too, but like fight the Grim Reaper standing up, you know, don't do it laying down. Cause like GRC says, you know, you're afraid of this or that. Like, and like, if you're afraid of such things, like it's probably because you got some improvement to do. And obviously, yeah. Like I'm excited that you guys are doing that you guys are like, hosting the challenge and things like that. Cause that's something that I've wanted to get back into for a while, but sometimes kick in the ass, you know, and I've done it before, so I'll definitely do it again. But it's so much easier once again with the group of people, or you know, with my brother. Him and I are doing something similar. And so, anyways, yeah, dude, your health really is your wealth.
Guess what the requirement
you know,
is for equipment? Guess what the requirement is for equipment? None. No requirement for equipment. So if you guys don't have equipment, I mean, we would like if you had access to a gym, that'd probably be beneficial to your progress. But no equipment, no issue. In my opinion, I could get more fit than everyone without equipment. Two, it's all about burning calories, eating less calories. But what I'm good at is I don't eat a lot. So I've taught myself how to eat these big, delicious meals, but they're more so filling than they are high calorie. You know what I mean? Like they're not necessarily high calorie. They just have a lot of volume in them. So like I don't eat as much, but I also do some fasting stuff. Depends on the time of the year. But guys, really, in my overall thing about health is like the less you eat and the less you do, other than at the gym. Like at the gym, you grind it out. Like your organ health will be better long term if it has less functioning overall. Like however many reps your organs do, like this is the way I've always thought about it. There's like a little degradation within each rep, right? Like so I've thought like as a longevity thing, like eating less. At some point I got pitched that and I just stuck with it like in my head. But I kind of like it. I really do like it. I think it's
going on that realm. So where I'm very close to 250 pounds. And on May 1st, I'm going to start cutting, right? As part of the night. As part of the night.
That's big for a dude who's lean as fuck. Like, I mean, that's like,
and I don't feel lean.
Our competition dude's way.
Yeah. So I'm going to cut, but going off to what you were just saying about one of the easiest, the simplest, people talk about IM, like intermittent fasting and stuff, but the easiest ways. So if longevity, if health, if like those things are important to you, fasting, like a 24-hour fast is like, I've been doing it for 10 months now, once a month, a 24-hour fast, just for health reasons.
Would you ever do a 3-day with me?
I would definitely do a 3-day.
I would do a 3-day. I've done several 1 days, but like I heard after you get past day 2, day 3 is really easy. So like I kind of want to try the 3-day one.
When you look at, so say just for example, this is not the exact numbers, but say if somebody's at 3,000 calories a day, right? And I eat a lot, right? Food, so mine's probably like closer to 4,000. If you're at 3,000 and you take say Sundays and whatever day works for you, right? But for me, it's Sundays, and then you don't eat for 24 hours. And if you look at the aggregate for the whole week, you're at 21,000 before a fast. Now you start doing a fast either on a weekly basis or twice a month or something. You can effectively drop your caloric intake for the week by 15% if you're using 3,000, right? You go from 21,000 to 18,000 just by a 24-hour fast, which is so easy. You don't need to be like, oh, I need to change this shit in my diet. I don't need to change this shit in my diet. You just do a 24-hour fast. And you focus on like the health benefits. It's improving your lipid panel. It's improving your blood sugar. It's improving your insulin sensitivity. It's improving your cognitive function. It's reducing the load on all your organ functions. Is what you were just talking about, GRC. And you just dropped your caloric intake for the whole week by 15%, even if you're still eating shit all week.
I love that.
And your self-control too.
We're talking about this shit. They used to leave when we talk about this shit, but now they're staying in because guys, I'm telling you. It's insanity. It's amazing. This life that we're living. If you have the blessing in your life to have enough emotional energy, and by emotional energy, I mean, when you wake up in the morning, you feel good, right? The only way that you can be fit, successful, and have good relationships is if you feel happy when you wake up. So if you have to figure out how to feel happy, that was my whole goal. Like I was like, Scott, I knew once I figured out how to be happy when I woke up by like, maybe getting rid of my job and like having a schedule that I actually wanted, stuff like that. For me, it's different for everyone. But like, I knew right then I was going to have the emotional energy to accomplish any goal. And that's why I was like, Sam, I'm doing it. I told everyone, I was like, I'm doing this. I didn't care if no one helped me, if Sam never wanted to come over here. I was doing this shit regardless. Like I was excited, pumped up, because when I woke up in the morning, I was happy. That's the key right there. Yeah. And that's why guys like Richard will sometimes struggle long-term emotionally, is because they have such dopamine dumps for these crazy good ideas over these long periods of times that end up being successful. It's like really more dopamine than a human could probably normally deal with. Therefore, they have these times and these laws where they're like, man, I'm not saving the world at this moment. It's sad. You know, like it's almost like if you bang the hottest girl at the party, it's like the first day that you ever went to a party, you'd be like, or whatever, you know what I mean? There's
some, and I apologize, I'm looking at some of these comments here, and I see too from Monica here about the kids, and then also from Jerry. It's hard to when you have kids. First of all, the first thing comes to mind is like priorities. So if it's a priority, obviously you're going to take care of it. The second thing is just when you put this into perspective, like say the three of us were on a tribe 150 years ago. We need to find food, right? We go out to look for food, and we were hunting a gazelle or fucking deer or whatever we were looking for, right? And we don't get anything. What do we eat? We don't fucking eat for a day. Like it's normal for humans to not eat for periods of time because that's what it was like in the past. We go out hunting, we can't find anything. Mm-hmm. We don't eat.
I imagine myself in a world where like something catastrophic happens and everyone dies around me except me, because I literally don't need to eat. And I'm not saying like like it's almost like a pride thing when you get into it a lot. You're like, it's a focus thing. It's like the fasting has a lot to do with like you have an emotional relationship with the way I feel after 2 o'clock when I haven't eaten. Like today, I haven't eaten anything. It's 12:28. I trained hard as balls this morning. All I've had is drink water and a little bit of 0-calorie caffeine, and that's it. And I feel absolutely sharp, like I could study for a Harvard exam right now. You know what I mean? But when I eat, that's the problem too. If you do it too hardcore like I do, the second I eat, my brain becomes mush.
Bran, if you had said that you used to do fitness stuff, or you did it for, or like if I understood that,
right?
You did,
yeah, sure.
What do you think is the challenging part for you?
Oh well, so for me, I would just say it's kind of like what Richard talks about sometimes, where dude, at the end of the day, like everyone kind of knows what they need to do. It's just self-control. You know, it's the self-control to say no to, going to a party or going to dinners or stuff like this, or just kind of, even if you are just kind of like Jim Rat said, I mean, stop. Like my dad always said this as an analogy, and I heard Monica say it too, but using food as a fuel instead of say like an emotional suppressant, or, some people, obviously
I also
the way that sugar
a fuck ton, so I have vices too. Like I totally have vices. I'm not perfect. Like I smoke.
Well, the way that sugar works on your dopamine receptors is like more addicting than like heroin, or I think it was either heroin or cocaine or both.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, for me, I would just say it's it's what recently I've been getting into with. Once again, listening to the Sci-Vive stuff again, but just developing that self-control of like, okay, wake up when your damn alarm says, when you have your set time, kind of just develop those routines that were there before, but then had gotten complacent in, and then just making it a lifestyle as you talk about, like when Jim Rat says for you, Sam, that, hey, you kind of have this lifestyle thing and there's multiple different ways that you can go about it. I think that is the most important, because you can still, live a healthy life and still have, social experiences without, lack. So for me, it's just been, to be honest, it's been, just self-control with maybe some of the eating or eating a little bit too much. Like obviously sugar is not beneficial at all. Like, that stuff's just going to grow your cancer cells and let that stuff feed off that. So kind of just switching the focus and not making excuses really is what it is at the end of the day. That's why I like what you guys are doing with the challenge is like, everyone's got their own journey and everyone kind of has like a different path for what they take and what works for them. I mean, I see Brandon with Racks to Riches is doing like the carnivore diet, and some people fasting 48-72, or there's different numbers for everyone and different things that work for each person.
And it's just about like I just wish people knew, like you could go to McDonald's and get a double cheese, whatever, couple burgers, or you could get 7 pieces of delicious French toast with strawberries and bananas and blueberries. Like, which one's better to me? The French toast is better. But again, I eat French toast like every day. So
I personally don't care for processed stuff.
I know.
French toast for me would be processed. But everybody's at a different spot in the journey. One thing that's been,
and I know I won't be eating that long term.
Yes, correct. Like, one thing that's been very helpful for me over the years is if there was something that was like, GRC said vice, right, or whatever. So if there's something, if you were to say, take a piece of paper and you list out 20 things that you were like, hey, these 20 things I can do. Now, don't look at the top one, because that's going to be your biggest vice. That's going to be the first thing that enters the mind space. So it's probably the biggest issue for you. So don't even worry about that. You're not strong enough to lift 10 pounds. Don't start at 150 pounds. Like, it's not worth it to even look at that one, right? Because you're just going to struggle and you're going to hurt yourself and then fall off and then go back to whatever it was. So starting on the low side of shit, I'm like, okay, number 20. That's whatever that was at the time, some process, something or whatever, right?
Sure.
What could I substitute that with that has a better risk reward or tastes better and is better for me?
Every time I can answer that question. Every time I can answer it.
So if there's anything in your life, right? If you're having like maple syrup and you look at the ingredients of it and it's not actually maple syrup, it's processed thing, it's just corn oil, it's vegetable oil, and you look at that and it's just crap, right? Then think about how you could switch that out for something that is healthier for you, but also
real
tastes
quick,
better.
Is it fair to say, Sam, is it fair to say that the negative effects of processed food are negligible comparatively to the average diet of the humans that we're talking to? Not get your ass out of this conversation because you're not in it. I'm talking about average human beings. If you were to add French toast with a little bit of fake sugar to your diet, but you were to keep your calories 3x lower for 5 years, in my opinion, you will be way healthier than if you ate real food at a higher rate of calories, 3x.
It's going to be more challenging to eat a surplus food if you eat real food. Processed food is way easier to overeat on. So that with that,
like the way it interacts with your stomach, kind of.
Well, just the volume of food is easier to eat a larger number of calories.
I just
if they're
agree.
processed.
Bread, and bread's not high calorie by any means. It's very voluminous.
But it's easy to eat. I can eat an entire loaf of bread. Like, I used to eat entire loaves of bread a day.
You see,
entire loaves of bread.
160 pounds. So like you're like another human being, like a little training athlete attached.
But it's not that one is right or wrong. It's like,
right. You also have trained yourself, as a bodybuilder should, in my opinion, to eat a lot. You eat a lot. I've trained myself to not eat a lot on purpose because I hate eating. It's a fucking waste of time. I need to work for my first 10 hours of my day, and I hate eating. Such a waste of time. So I figured out for me, because I like the entrepreneurial way of it, where it's like I'm not eating because I'm just busy, but that's just me. It's way more effective time-wise for me just to like push it all later, eat a lot of more dense food at night, and like after like 4 or 5 p.m. when I stop working, for the most part. So it's kind of just up to everyone how you structure your life. I also wake up at 4 a.m. and I'm spring-loaded like a fucking missile for no reason. So like that's just, everyone's different as fuck.
And so it depends on. So if somebody was like, hey, I would like to lose weight, right? If somebody's like, hey, I would like to lose weight, then reducing the caloric intake would probably be a better strategy for them. If somebody's like, hey, I would like to improve my health, then reducing processed foods is probably a better strategy for them. It's not like you should fucking do this or you should fucking do that. Yeah. It's like, what are your goals? What are you trying? Just like with financial like progress, right? Or like, hey, don't get into hacks just because I'm talking about it. Educate yourself. Like, learn, ask me questions, talk to 3 or 4 other people, like, and then if you're comfortable and if that thing is a good idea for you to put 3% of your, bag into it, do it, right? Like, I'm here to support that.
Well, and I agree with that. And like thinking a little bit more about it, your question as far as like, oh, what's the struggle and stuff like that. It's once again, it's just not being complacent, right? Like not making excuses for, so when you guys mentioned because obviously it comes down to, like if you have a whole bunch of nutrients that you're eating and stuff and you're more satiated at a lower calorie density than say something that's processed, like Richard talks about it, like with ice cream and Sci Vibe. You just keep eating and eating, and you're not really satiated because it's got really, no density of nutrients in there. But the point that I was trying to say is, lately I've been getting back into, some of the cooking and cooking at home and stuff instead of, going to the store or eating out, and little things like that can really make a big deal. But the thing I also wanted to comment too about what you'd mentioned with the fasting is it's just like what I've been getting back into with like waking up consistently at a certain time and kind of going bed too at a consistent time is like it's exercising self-control, because if you can't do it, then you're kind of like weakening that self-control. And to be honest, lately I have weakened it, but if you can take that and strengthen it, one day at a time, one topic at a time, then you can kind of build that.
So one day just on sleeping too. People need to learn how to sleep, Sam.
I just got another book on. I have a carnivore book to read next, but I also just got a book. Somebody sent me a carnivore. My mom did because she knows I like learning about this kind of stuff. She sent me a book on hormones by this doctor, just because it's like she's like, "Oh, Sam will read this stuff. He'll appreciate this kind of thing." To go through that, but what Bran was saying, I view confidence as what you were saying, self-discipline, right? Kind of like with the confidence type of thing. For me, it kind of goes hand in hand to a certain degree. The more I commit to actually having discipline to do the tiny little things that I tell myself, and like people get caught up because they think that it's some big thing to do. It's like, oh, you're not making the money you want, or you're not like fit in a certain way. Your relationship's not the way you want it. Or your spiritual life isn't the way you want it. And maybe that's just mental for you, not spiritual or whatever. But
sure.
It's those tiny little steps of like, if you said you were going to pick up your socks and they've been in the corner of the room for 2 days and you didn't pick up your socks, well, that's what's stopping you from getting to step number 2, which is the next thing.
One.
If it's cleaning out the sink because there's 3 dishes in it and you want a clean sink out and you walk by the sink for 4 times and you don't take the 67 seconds to fucking wash those 3 dishes, then that's the thing that's limiting the confidence growth. That's the thing that's limiting the discipline, right? Because we see it. We see the bigger things because those are the things we want to accomplish without realizing that we started on that list of like 1 through 20 of the devices or whatever it is. And so we look at 1. We look at 1, 2, these things, right? In each category, whether it's health, relationships, mental health, financial health. We look at the top like things because that's what's interesting to us. Without realizing that number 67 is as simple as like, oh, okay, I should maybe consider paying attention to what I spend it, right? Or like just so incredibly simple.
Yeah, we fail. Everyone fails, including Sam, including me. I promise you. Like, I'm better than most people. Sam's better than most people. But Sam every day says, oh, I got a long to-do list. You know what I mean? Like, I fucking missed a couple things yesterday. Me too, dude. Like, it's like, dude, I've been working on getting this check for my car insurance for 47 days, and it's making me homicidal. It's like, I'm just like, dude, I just want to get my car fucking figured out, blah, blah, blah. Like, but anyway, it's just, and for people that, I'm going to say this, me and Sam are clearly not 100% natural. People say shit in my comments all the fucking time about how I lie to everyone about being unnatural. And I'm like, I tell everyone I'm on testosterone every single show pretty much. But, people don't listen. They just selectively hear what they want to hear and then talk shit on the other end of it. And if that's something that you want to learn more about, I would never push it. I've never sold anything in the realm of that. I'm just a freaking gym dude. I have a doctor that prescribes me with shit. I get my blood work done on time for most of the time. And so I'm somewhat aware of everything. But guys, we're not trying to see who can be the most gorilla juice head. I'm 165 pounds. Sam's also just a ginormous human being in general. He's 250 pounds, but ripped. But like, he's also
in that regard. I don't have any hang-ups talking about it 100% publicly of whatever I take. I couldn't care less like what other people think about what I take.
Oh, me neither, dude. People are like, but you're cheating, and I'm like, well, you suck, and then like whatever. Like I don't care. It's not cheating to me. I've been bodybuilding for 15 years. I bodybuilding natural until I was 26. And then when I was 26, I said, I can tell I am no longer gaining mass. There's no way I can gain more, literally maybe a pound a year, 2 pounds a year. My body was not built for much. And I said, fuck it, I'll do whatever I want. But guys, there's health problems that go along with that. If you don't know what the fuck you're doing, you're going to fuck your shit up. I promise you. You will throw yourself into a loop so bad you'll never be able to recover from it if you just go in balls deep, blind, don't know what you're doing. Doctor, you have to have a doctor for everything you do. And me and Sam are not doctors. And I will never tell you to do any sort of supplement of any sort. There's no reason to do it. You could just look good in clothes and then just live your life.
I also have and I should probably actually get off, but after this, I have
get off after this.
Okay, I have a YouTube channel where I talk about a lot of this stuff. It might be linked down below. If not, if you just search my name, I talk about like being on TRT, which is testosterone replacement therapy, replacing your natural testosterone levels, or talking about peptides, or talking about other drugs or supplements that are more effective than like pharmaceuticals, or the different things. There's also a podcast on all the favorite podcast platforms. It's Too Much Test, what I do with a bodybuilding coach and somebody who is really, really deep into the TRT community. And we bring on guests sometimes, or sometimes we just chat about this kind of stuff to continue to learn and educate ourselves. So if you like that kind of stuff, which is only going to be a tiny percent of the community, you can check out those things if you find them to be useful or helpful or whatever. So I want to appreciate everybody who come on, especially Bran. It was awesome that you took the time out of your day to come on here and chat. If there's anything I can ever do to help in any way along your journey,
I appreciate it.
Feel free.
I think you guys are, I mean, not that I think, but I already know that you guys are doing, tremendous value with the program that you're going to be talking about tomorrow. And once again, it just really is important not to sacrifice any good habits that you ever have. Cause just as Jim Rat had mentioned, like you can really fuck things up if you, like he had mentioned, if you do, a whole bottle of tests or whatever, and then you don't know what you're doing after that or things like that, just like with anything else when it comes to finance or things like that. So no, I appreciate that. And like I said, I really, I think it's cool what you guys are doing and, getting the community, because the community itself, like depending on how long people stay in, they're already going to be wealthy if they're not already, but then your health really is your wealth, because, you see these, fat moguls or these, fat billionaires and things like that. And then it's like, well, they can't really enjoy the money. Right. So no, I just appreciate, the encouragement and the other people in the stream or the other people in the community doing the same thing and kind of being at place that you want to be at, that you can kind of look up to, I think is really awesome. Because, you have to have, for any sort of success, like you mentioned with the socks, you didn't pick up your socks, things like that, exercising, negative habits. But you kind of have to have those things that you look forward to, or that you have like a goal to kind of reach. So I think 90 days is kind of perfect, but it's really cool. The other people in the community doing it as well.
I'd like to acknowledge Bran too for like the support, both in terms of the comments and just whether it's on my channel,
he's keeping streamers on their feet.
But also like the generosity like that you bring into the community. I think it's awesome. You know what I mean? Whenever years ago I didn't do this, and now I make a point to do this over the last 24 months, is when I'm seeing somebody that's out there that's homeless, whatever, like if I like to have some type of cash in the car just so that I can stop and say hi to them and, you know what I mean, and give it to them. And it's a different way, but I love the highlighting the people that are generous, because there's so many more people in the world that are generous and it's not talked about enough. We talk about the bad shit. We talk about the negative shit instead of the people who are doing the actions and things that are making the world like a better place by bringing more generosity into the world and helping more people. And I acknowledge you for that, because I see that in you, and I think that's fucking awesome. Like, I appreciate that. And
thanks, dude.
Thank you.
No.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, no, of course. There's so much to support, right? There's so many people in this community that are just freaking killers. They're badass. And yeah, you're right. It is important to reinforce what's good and not what's bad. I mean, shit, there's so much bad stuff in the world. It's so easy to be depressed if you turn on the television or you do anything else. But if you look at what you can control in the beauty in life, like, it really is beautiful. So no, I appreciate you saying that, man.
Thank
Bran
you.
is the most supportive hexagon you'll find. I totally agree. Ever since I think I was talking to Bran before I even had stake on my head, or barely like right when I was in the beginning, like on the phone, like on Telegram phone call, like literally just chatting, like just to make me feel like one of the guys. And that's one of the parts too that's good. It's like when you feel like one of the guys, it's like you feel comfortable to be creative too, which is incredible. Like I know Bran early on was really hard time for streaming as far as he was nervous about it, right? Look at you now, you don't give a fuck. Like it's insane, dude. It's really truly incredible what you can do with your mind when you just do it, right? Guys, I'm going on cryptographics after this. I think.
Can't wait, dude.
Awesome. I'm going to cryptographics after this, so I'm going to get off this so I can like breathe for a second. And
I gotta turn the AC. I gotta turn the AC on. I'm literally sitting here sweating because
your hat is sweaty. Dude, your hat is sweaty.
What temperature is it over there?
It's probably about 85 or something.
Damn, that is cool. I can't wait
Brandon,
for that. In Washington, it's like overcast.
Stay in St. Petersburg. You can stay with me whenever you want when I move down there, buddy.
Dude, hell yeah, man. Can't wait.
We'll have to get together. I appreciate you guys. I'll talk to you guys soon. Check out the links down below. If you want to join in on the fitness challenge, check out tomorrow's stream at 11 a.m. And jump over to Twitter, say what's good. You can follow me. I'm trying to catch up to GRC in terms of the total number of followers. Hit 5,000.
It's too parabolic.
It's 5,000. Oh, you don't know what's in store, bro. You don't know what's in store. I got some good stuff coming out. So appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon. Peace out, guys.
Awesome.
All right, guys. I'm going to peace out too, Bran.
Cool.
Great to see you as always. I'm going to jump straight out of the green room. I do have to talk to you about a couple of things.
Me too.
Okay,
cool.
Just over
Sounds
Telegram,
good.
I'll message you a couple of things. I wanted you to know your opinion on, but I'll talk to you soon, man. Thank you so much for coming.
Awesome, dude. Cool, man. Appreciate it. Thanks, everyone. All right. Peace.
Have a good one, Bran.
Hey, you too.
I'm going to stay on and just tell them about the fitness challenge real quick. All right, guys. So that was an amazing episode. That was awesome. Let's check cryptographics real quick. Is he live yet? I don't even know. Like, I hope I didn't. Maybe he was talking about next week too. I wrote it on my calendar though, and I try to write everything important on my calendar. Let's go over. See if he's pending a stream. Are you pending a stream? Maybe not yet. 1 day ago this time. 3 days ago this time. We'll see. We'll talk to him, guys. I think we were going to do a full-on raid, but it looks like we're just going to move on, guys. Thank you so much for everything you do. If you haven't already hit the like, go ahead and do that right now for me. Subscribe. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, that's petty at this point. That's petty. Because I've been doing this shit day in, day out, fucking grinding, trying to nip slip for the algo. Algo nip. Oh. No gyno there. That's a zero gyno zone. I have no androgenic effects from any drugs. Like my hair, nothing, ever. Never have. Probably never will. Genetics. Have a great day, guys. I'm just going to acknowledge everyone. Thanks, boys. Michael Light, Monica Mofit Meals, thank you so much. Danny Boy, as always, appreciate you. Molly Investors ready to go guerrilla mode. Sandy Beach, as always, thank you so much. Chad Donner Swans, Zero Gyno Zone. Oh, the sneaky clips that might never see the light of day. The sneaky clips that might never see the light of day. Hopefully someone captures some of this. Oh, God, this is great.
Asking if this was me. No, it's not me. And then I saw another guy asking about an influencer. Like I retweeted this Jim Rat Crypto that's having a Hexagon Fitness Challenge. There's guys impersonating him. So,
yeah, there's guys impersonating me. One more time. RH, what did you say? Was there guys impersonating me?
Asking if this was me. No, it's not me. And then I saw another guy asking about an influencer. Like I retweeted this Jim Rat Crypto that's having a Hexagon Fitness Challenge. There's guys impersonating him. So,
jealous plebs all over the place, guys. Thank you so much for coming into this show, guys. I'm going to go over to Cryptographics, ready to win this thing. Yes, Motley, yes. It's really an honor to be able to have a show that people actually watch because it gives me something to do that's fun in the morning. Instead, I'm taking this opportunity to try to do this the best way I possibly can as far as I'm concerned. As far as like, I learned from RH that your intentions matter for your long-term reputation enough where like, I don't want to have screwed anyone over, right? Like I don't want to have to ever been in a position where I screwed anyone over. So like, how can you lose when you're in that position? Everyone else, you know how that goes. They start shilling shit. They're screwing everyone because they're just lining their pocketbooks, which are broke. Anyway, so guys, have a great day. I'll talk to you later. It's your boy GRC. The Hexagon Fitness Challenge starts tomorrow. I have another monitor now, so I'm getting better at reading the chat. But let's fucking go.